Michal Chesal is a mompreneur who co-founded the Florida-based juvenile product company Baby Catan LLC. Shortly after the birth of her son Kobe, born with Down syndrome, Michal found herself searching for a baby carrier that could provide the sensory nourishment he required for optimal development. Unsatisfied with the options available, Michal began designing and creating her own modified carrier. The completed patented design, the Baby Katana baby carrier, allows caregivers to comfortably carry their baby in multiple positions without the hassle of wrapping or buckling. Officially launched in 2007, the brand has since become one of the strongest names in infant carriers. Today, Baby Kitan LLC continues to increase their product line, designing innovative products that promote the natural bond between parent and baby. With a background in marketing, Michal began with a focus on organic growth, including word of mouth, blogger reviews, and social media. Initially working out of her kitchen with her business partner, she knows firsthand the trials of starting a company from the ground up and the challenges that entrepreneurs face, from limited marketing budgets, patents, trademarks, and licensing to balancing family and work. The culmination of her unique experiences has afforded her opportunities to be recognized in publications such as Huffington Post, South Florida Business Journal, CBS, and Miami Herald. On a volunteer basis, Michal assists in chairing events that promote advocacy and acceptance of the special needs community. Additionally, she serves as an active member of numerous children's advocacy organizations.
A business, on starting it and enduring in business year after year, and especially as a mom of, yeah, you have 3 kids, don't you?
I have 3, yes.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about different things, but mainly on what kind of psychology helps a woman to start a business and endure in it and in time, year after year, and even day to day.
You want to jump right into it?
Yes.
Do you want me to start from the beginning? Do you want me to, you tell me.
Well, okay, I can, if that helps.
How about I introduce myself and I'll tell you a little bit about how I got started.
Okay.
That always sort of leads into it. So my company, Baby Catan, was started 10 years ago. And it got created 17 years ago when my son was born. My oldest has Down syndrome. And when he was born, created a baby carrier to support his needs. And years later, went into business with a business partner. We modified the carrier a bit, we patented it, and we went to market. It was when years back, looking back, it wasn't a business idea. We thought it was just a necessity. It was something that we needed to do. I have 3 kids, but at the time it was my first, and I did not know what it was like to have a child with a disability. And so I was, a lot of new things were thrown at me. And that's just what happens when, you are a parent and there's surprises along the way. And this was a surprise. So when my son was born, I was trying to modify whatever I could to accommodate him and also try and do everything the same way everyone else was doing it, because they didn't want it to be different just because he had Down syndrome. In came the baby carrier, and the other carriers out there were not appropriate for his development. And we went ahead and put this one together. It's just a baby Catan carrier. You wear it like a t-shirt basically. And he was able to sit in very snug and secure at a very young age where he had no neck or head control a lot longer than other babies. Mm-hmm. With that, fast forward, we eventually went to market, went into business with a business partner. We designed it a bit more and made it a little more safe and secure and unique. And we always would say, wow, if we had a penny for every comment we got, we'd be millionaires by now. Why didn't we do this in the beginning? But in the beginning, it wasn't a thought. In the beginning, it was a necessity. Years later, we said, you know what? People keep asking. Let's just take that leap of faith. Let's do it. And it was a little more secure to do it with a business partner. Maybe on my own, I might have not taken that leap of faith. I don't know. So with a business partner, I had that motivation because we were both in it together. We both started it from the ground up and started in my kitchen, in the living room, set up the phones, cutting and pasting, making flyers. Really started it with nothing. with no knowledge and no money. At the time when we started it, there was so much motivation and excitement that it was propelling us. So we learned how to do things without a budget, like a marketing budget. We're like, what's a marketing budget? To say we even had a small marketing budget is silly because we had no marketing budget. So everything was organic. Everything was from the ground up. I was like, I'm going to go to the store and knock on the door and show them how to wear a baby Catan carrier and tell them how great it is.
Yeah.
Thankfully now, fast forward, we have 12 employees. It's amazing. We have reps all over the US and we have international distributors, and they're going out and continuing the brand building and education. But at the time, it was basically, winging it on your own, but with all that excitement, for the unknown, but also because we had so much passion. And I think a big question is, how do you keep that passion? And how do you keep that excitement? And how do you keep that, like we were chatting earlier, it's one thing to get it going, which is really hard too. That's a whole other topic of starting a business from nothing, from the ground up, because that takes a lot of perseverance and determination and a leap of faith and conquering your fears. That's a whole other story. But if you're able to get through that and actually start something, how do you keep it going? How do you keep that endurance? And that's a whole other topic, which we could talk about a little today. And a topic that I actually think about every day. I'm trying to come up with words that describe how to do that versus how to get started.
Okay. So is this kind of the stage you are in right now?
Well, so yes, we've been in business. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary this year. And we launched our first baby carrier in April 2007. And that was just a prototype. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. We had used our own ones for years before, but we had never really made one in a manufacturing plant and brought it to market. So looking back, there was just so many obstacles and mistakes that we overcome that looking back at the time seemed, they're surmountable. Obviously we got over them, but at the time they seemed, we like mountains. And so now, yes, we're in business 10 years. We've built a very strong brand name. It really has been organic by word of mouth. Even now when we do have a marketing budget, which is, mind you, still small, we're still a small to medium-sized family-owned business. And we don't have a marketing budget like many of our competitors. And we still rely a lot on organic growth and word of mouth, but we also do take ads out and we do marketing campaigns. It's a different level now of a business. Thankfully, we've built such a strong brand that our baby carrier, the baby Catan baby carrier, has found a very strong name in the newborn, infant baby carrier category. And so parents registering in their baby registry or going to shop are usually, they've heard of baby Catan. It's one of the, it has a strong name behind it and we've built a strong brand. Now we're launching new products. So we're adding on for the first time line extensions. We launched a diaper bag, a swaddle blanket this past year. We're starting to venture out into other categories, all in the juvenile products baby world, all that have something unique to them, all that we feel fill a need. But they're new categories, they're new ventures, and it's scary. It's like starting over sometimes in each category. We were never in the diaper bag category. We were never in the swaddle blanket category. Our brand name is known, it's trusted, it's valued. That's an amazing thing that we're so happy we have built up over 10 years. But again, we have a lot of competitors and we want to be able to go out there and say, hey, our diaper bag is different because of this. Try it out because it's unique. We'd love for you to see. And just because, we have a good baby carrier doesn't mean you trust us in the diaper bag category. With that said, a big thing that I find on a daily basis that I have to sort of think about to get through, let's say, that day, because I'm managing employees, I'm managing children. I have 3 children and I'm a single mother. And my oldest has a disability. And there's a lot involved with that. And trying to do it all and stay positive and trying to do it all and actually cross off certain tasks from your list so that you feel somewhat accomplished. And being mindful while you do it. And we were just talking earlier about that whole word, mindfulness. I think that, and when I heard the professor talking about it, that one thing that I try and do is when I'm thinking about mindfulness is that if I stay in that moment and I make sure that moment is the most important thing that I need to focus on, I'll probably feel a lot more accomplished when I'm done than rather start thinking about what the next day or the future is going to be, because that's unknown. So that's worrying. Going back and thinking about the past and how it was, I had to do this, or this was easier to do, this is harder. No, the past, the future, they're not, the future's not here yet. The past is gone. So if you're mindful of that moment and you're present in that moment, you probably can achieve a lot more. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing to sort of remind yourself. And this goes with family and business and children. I mean, it's hard with children, just as like your business.
And I think our life goes where our mind goes, and we know that. We all talk about staying in the moment and here, but it's really good to hear from examples like you are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. It's not even a luxury. It's
a necessity.
Yeah. And you were talking about how you had to overcome many things while coming into this year, and now in looking back, maybe you're thinking, oh, that was easy. And now
right. But at the time, it wasn't. Yeah. At the time, unless I was trying to be mindful, I could have been crushed by it. Mm. It was terrifying. I didn't know what would happen. If I had so many things, I look back, and it's interesting because a lot of times when I speak to women starting businesses and moms, and we'll talk about, being entrepreneurs, women business owners, mompreneurs, whatever you want to label it. Mm. A big question is, how do you do it all? You can't do it all. You just do the best you can with what you're doing. So one avenue was also, I heard someone speak about this recently, and I thought she had a really good point. And she was, a very well-known woman, business owner, about that rather than having a to-do list with 200 items and crossing one or two off and then feeling unaccomplished because you only got one or two off 200 items. Mm-hmm. Start a list that only has 3 items for that week. Mm. That's not insurmountable. And then make sure you cross off those 3 items, and then you'll probably do more. But if you're mindful of those, you'll get them done. You'll feel accomplished, and it will probably help you go on to the next item. Mm-hmm. So it's more, and that's all in your mind, because you still have the same tasks. You still have the same responsibilities. You still have to get that new product out to market. You still have to hire that employee. You still have to have a team meeting. You still have to Skype with your distributors and go over their business plans. And you still have to prep for that trade show, and you still have to get your kids to do their homework. Yeah. So that is something that helps you maybe be mindful, because you're dwindling it down to something that is
reframe. How things look very different when you reframe them.
And it's in your mind. You're just reframing it, just trying to think about it differently. This is another thing I was thinking about is, how do you overcome something that you're scared to do? Mm. If you think about this, every time you're doing something that you're doing now and you know how to do it and you know it well, at one point you never did it before. Mm-hmm. There was one point where you never did it before. You didn't. Now you're doing it and you know how to do it. But if there was a prior time where you didn't know how to do it and you were thinking about it, you would have been freaked out. You would have said, I can't do it. I don't know how. But you got to it and now you know how. So if you're going to try something new, and if you're going to get through that next part in your business and that next step, even if you're really worried and scared about it, stop for a minute and think, well, I'm doing this and I never did this before. I'm making a baby carrier, but I'd never done that before prior to 10 years ago. I'm raising a child with special needs. I had never done that before I gave birth to that child with special needs. And so at one point, there was always a time where you didn't know how to do what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So try and remember that,
Beautiful. Thank you. And I'm
I try. It doesn't always work. Trust me.
Well, and you have experience of having accomplished other things, not specifically this, but having, hitting the wall before and getting over all those obstacles. You have experience with that. You know that it happens in your past.
Yes. And there's more to happen. There's more that happens every day. I mean, there's, like I said, there's always obstacles, and uncertainty is okay. I mean, nobody has a certain life. Nobody does. Uncertainty is okay. But if you focus on that uncertainty all the time, that's not being mindful, because that uncertainty is based on something that's going to happen in the future. You're uncertain that it's going to work out. You're uncertain that that product is going to succeed. You're uncertain that that new employee you hired is going to be beneficial to your company. You're uncertain that those music lessons you got your child are going to result in anything but just a waste of money. I don't know, and stress you out more. But if you're just mindful of that moment, and you didn't, don't think about the past or the future so much, then you know what? You're going to get through it. And then the next day, if it's not meant to be, that new product or that marketing plan or your child's guitar lesson, then that'll be in the moment of you not doing it or making the decision to change it or alter it. Does that, and that's a good way. It doesn't always work. It's nice to talk about, but it's good to remind yourself. It helps. If you talk to yourself about it, it helps to remember to do it.
Well, and one of the things I really want to be careful about in these series too, that we're not just, doing lip service, but these are things that when you're in that moment, then you know that your choices, okay, I can go follow this worry to the future, or I can just think about how things didn't go right, or I can just stay right now and do what I need to do.
Just do what I need to do. Yeah. And so it is very easy to just talk about these things. It's very easy to say, well, this is what I do. I'm resilient. I'm resourceful. I overcome obstacles. But let's give us one example of how to do it, or one example that you've used or I've used that has worked. Not all the time. It doesn't work each time, but maybe 8 out of 10 times. So maybe those 8 times were successful because try to be mindful, try to realize that whatever it is I'm worried about now or scared to do, I never did before. It was something that, that I've done other things that I never knew before and I do well. So this can be one of them. So just to be mindful of it and think about that. I think those are good psychological strategies to use. I mean, even if you're not a psychologist, so when you're dealing with issues in your daily life,
you're human. Yeah.
Those are good,
And I think what is the biggest thing in all this is women starting, and any person starting their business and seeing successful business owners like yourself, having done it and has that whole proven track record behind them, as if you are a different species. That it is not, I'm not that person. I'm not that kind of a person. That is sometimes a mindset that
people will think that.
Yeah. And so I think it is really useful to see that you're still dealing psychologically with certain, similar things from day to day. You're starting something new every day.
Yeah. Every day, even if you're a successful business owner, you still have challenges. You still have something new. You could be a successful parent and then all of a sudden something comes up and you have a new obstacle. Yeah. And I mean, how do you define a successful parent? So, I mean, even how do you define a successful business owner? Someone can build their business and make millions and millions of dollars, but if they're not happy, they're not a successful business owner, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a big thing. I think adapting your behavior and management style to each situation helps you get through each thing. And that will go back to being mindful. It really will. Because if you're mindful of that moment, you're going to adapt your behavior to work in that moment. Mm-hmm. They all interconnect. Anything you talk about will interconnect. And then if you are adapting your behavior and your management style for, let's say that's, to each situation, you're like, well, I don't know how to be a business owner. I don't know how to be a boss. I don't know how to be a manager. Mm-hmm. And then you think about it and say, well, if I adapt, I'll do a little bit of a better job. Oh, well, I didn't know how to be a this the other day, and now I do it. 10 years ago, I didn't know how to do this. So then you start to think about it. Then you're mindful, put it all together. And then a lot of the worry and the fear, not all of it, but a lot of it will probably dissipate, go away. And you'll still have some, but not enough to make you, to what's the word I'm thinking of? Not enough to take over and make you not, and disable you from doing that step or that project or that next milestone you need to, reach. Like, it won't render you, and again, I'm at a loss for words right now, but you understand what I'm saying.
I think
And so
that word, that concept of adaptation is a very good point that you came to, because they talk about how in psychology, it's not that people that are most clever, or even for species, actually, it's not the most clever species or the most powerful species that really go from generation to generation or survive, but it's the ones that adapt, that know,
that adapt, exactly. And right, with animals they say that. And so 100%, if you're willing to adapt. And how are you willing to adapt? Well, you're not going to adapt if you're overcome with fear. You're not. Because if you're overcome with fear, you're not going to be able to change anything. You're going to be just frozen. And that's with anything. So for the next step of your business, right? To even get it started or to go to the next step, even if you're deep into it, 10, 20, 30 years into it. And so you adapt. But how do you adapt? Remove some of that fear. How do you remove some of that fear? Well, it's not an obstacle, because everything you're doing at one point you didn't know how to do. And now you know how, because you're doing it. And then if you're mindful in that moment, it'll help you think about that and realize it, rather than looking at what could go wrong, or what might not come as a result of what you're doing. The outcome might not be what you want, and you're so scared it won't happen that you're scared to do it. The fear is taking over. So I say, and here's another good word, remove 80% of your fear. You can't remove 100% of it. So remove 80% of it, so that you have such small amount left that you can still manage your day. Like right now, there's worry in me, and stress and fear. Maybe fear is the wrong word, stress. But let me get rid of 80% of it. I'm still going to have some, but not enough to take over my being and not have me adapt or be mindful, so that I can be accomplished and do the next thing I need to do.
If you allow me to open that, what you're talking about, fear, and if I'm not right, just let me know. It's more of you have certain things that you care about happening, but they're uncertain, and you care enough about them happening, you really want them to happen, but they may not. You know that.
It's out of your hands, right?
You're going to put effort and do your best for them to happen, but they may not happen, but you really would like them to happen.
Right. So if you really want them to happen, do your best. If you really want them to happen, do your best. Be mindful. Adapt. Try and get rid of most of the fear. If they don't happen, that's out of your control. But you'll never know unless you try. I mean, like they say, you'll never know unless you try. I mean, that's like the easiest saying to throw out there. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that's very important. I think if you don't incorporate those thoughts into your daily being, you will get frozen, and not physically. You might not just stand there in a frozen posture and not move, but frozen in the sense that you'll procrastinate out of fear. The stress of, so for example, I want to launch a new product. I have a lot of fear. I don't know if it's going to be accepted in the market. I've done such a good job at building this brand, and we've worked so hard to teach the parents out there about the Baby Katan baby carrier and all the benefits of it. I have no idea if the next item is going to be as popular. I don't know. I hope so, because I think it's really great. And I hope that all our customers and future customers try it and love it too. But it's not proven yet. And there's a huge fear of the unknown. Put that aside, because otherwise you're not even going to know if you succeed or not. So be mindful of that moment and do that task that you have to do to get the new prints and the new samples, and reach out to the new retailers or your current customers that already love you for one item but don't really know you for the other. Push aside that stress, fear of the unknown and the uncertainty of it might not happen, and do it. And an easy thing to go back to is, if you have this, everyone has task lists. We all do. And we're women, we multitask. I'm not saying men completely don't, but women, business owners, if you're a mother, add to it. That's already the definition of multitasking, I think. And you're doing it on a daily basis. I mean, I do it constantly. I'm doing things at the same time. It would be like a phone and a typing and my kid. And if you're gonna be doing all these things all week anyway. So maybe dwindle it down to make it not so overwhelming for you. Like I said, this woman was speaking and she said, just write 3 things down. At first I said, 3 things? That's ridiculous. I need to do like 20 things a day. 3 things in a week? Am I on vacation sitting by a pool? But you're not going to only do those, but you're going to feel a lot more accomplished if you cross it's just 3 on the list and there's nothing else. And pick the 3 most important things to you that week. I mean, one might be to go to the gym. Another week it might not be, but that week is just to go to the gym. So one thing is go to the gym. And you might go twice, but do it once.
Oh, thank you, Michal. Thank you for making it. I love how transparent you are. And
it doesn't always work. No, I mean, I am always transparent. It doesn't always work.
I know
I have no problem sharing anything I try.
I think people who are watching can also see that, well, yes, you're talking about it, this is how it is done, it should be done, but you're also very transparent about, I have to tell this to myself on a daily basis, from hour to hour, because I am in it myself, so you are on the same process as the women that are watching this our interview. So it's a good thing to show that, yes, I'm talking about this, but I am in it myself. So this is how we do it. You never get to that place of, oh.
You know what? That's actually something that we should probably teach ourselves to do also, to get to that place of, oh, I did it. Because you're never going to get to that place. No, you're never. Because I could have stopped now and been like, I did it. All right, I'm going to go. I'm going to retire. I can't. And so, yes, maybe I did it. And I have to pat myself on the back, but there's so much more to do that I feel like I didn't do it yet. Well, maybe stop for a minute and say, I did it. That one goal, you did it. You crossed it off that list. Now on to the next, and be mindful and try and get rid of most of the stress and the fear that accompanies that one task. And don't look at it as you don't know how to do it, because like we said, everything you did at one point you didn't know how to do. But stop for a minute and say, I did it. And sometimes, it takes an outsider to say that. Like oftentimes I'll be speaking somewhere or at a show, or even just talking to one of my customers, a retailer, or a distributor, and they'll say, wow, you guys built this from your kitchen. You started it from the ground up. You learned as you went. You guys did it. And we're like, oh, okay, let's stop for a minute and think, we did it. We're not done, but we did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's good. So sometimes it does take someone on the outside to give you praise and say, you made it. Because you're not going to ever stop and say that, because then you're going to have the next thing to make.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good. Allow people to tell you that if you can't tell it to yourself.
Yeah, the growth never ends. That once you get to that place, you always you can see that you have capacity to do more.
Right. And also here's something interesting. So now we're saying that, everything that you're doing at one point you didn't know how to do. Well, years back when you started your business, and that was a big step for someone starting a business from the ground up. Anyone that's ever started a business knows, it takes a leap of faith and a lot of perseverance and a lot of persistence, a lot of motivation, a lot of patience, and a lot of humility, by the way. That's a big thing. And the reason I say humility is because if you're not going to admit that you don't know everything, you're never going to make it. You're never going to be able to get to the next step. So if you're going to stop for a minute, and you don't even need to know everything as a boss. I mean, you have employees that might know more than you in a certain area, and that's why you brought them on board. You might get a mentor. When we first started, we reached out to anyone that could mentor us. I mean, we found this group of retired men that used to work in the garment district in New York, and they were in Florida, and we met with them just to learn about textiles because we knew nothing about fabric. And we were starting from the ground up. We really knew nothing about starting a business, let alone fabric. So, if you have that humility and you are able to delegate and you're able to take advice and you're able to basically, utilize any type of help and know more from other people, it's going to help propel your business. But looking back then when we started, we never thought we'd be where we are today. So that would be something. We'd stop now and go, oh, we did it. We're not saying that because we're like, oh, we have more to do.
Yeah. And so when I put it all together, like I said, you are talking about the process that got you to build it from in the past 10 years, and endurance seems to be a continuation of that. Well, it's not perseverance, it's just reminding yourself, getting yourself out of that zone of fear, that really caring about something and not that uncertainty about achieving it. You're going through this every day, and growth never ends, but it's always nice to see what you have accomplished, to recognize that.
Right. So it's actually really nice to, we should add a fourth thing to the list. So write 3 things a week, write a fourth thing, and the fourth thing should be the same every week. Number 4 should say, congratulate yourself at the end of the week for what you accomplished. So that's just on your to-do list. You have to cross it off. You're going to have to do it. Yeah. So come the end of the week, you go, I accomplished a lot this week. It doesn't have to be just business. It could be family. It could be your children. It could be something else. But it's all intertwined because it's all in you. It's all part of your being. It's all part of your psyche. So if you're feeling good about that, you're going to do better in business. So I think that's a good number 4 to add to the weekly list.
Yeah.
And that one never changes. That stays the same. Congratulate yourself.
Right. This whole conversation reminds me of the description of flow. I don't know if you ever came across. They have this X and Y chart, and I'll put it on you get into the flow, that feeling of flow when you don't know how the time passes, and you look at your time, and at the end of the day you really got absorbed in it. It's that fine point between challenging and ability. So you don't quite have the full ability to do it, so it's challenging enough, and it still is enjoyable at the same time. So it's always
getting
just
to that flow, right? Getting to that.
Yeah.
It's like why people want to meditate, right? They want to achieve that. I guess meditation is really mindfulness. I mean, meditation, yes, that makes sense. Or even, for example, here's another thing. Using things to help you get there. So, for example, yoga, which is combined with the idea of meditation somewhat, and being mindful, and yoga has that, theory behind it. I found it's something that really centers me. So we bring a yoga teacher to our office once a week. And we do yoga in the front room with our staff. Well, whoever's joining that week, but it's great. Usually it's anywhere from 4 of us to 8 of us. It just depends, I guess, who's in. And so we bring her in once a week. We feel that's a great quality of life factor anyway for a business. We love that we are able to do that. I look forward to it myself. I do it, partially for myself and for my staff. I think everyone benefits from it. The day that we have that, and I wish I could do it every day, but it's not free. And the day we have it, I'm more mindful that day. I'm more focused, and I'm more centered and in a flow. Other days, less. So I have to learn how to do that on a daily basis myself. And I'm probably, my yoga teacher does it herself every day. I'm guessing that she has that MO, she's equipped with it because that's her life. And that's what she's there to teach others to do. I don't have that. I have to teach myself to. And so even, to the extent where I'm not going to do yoga every morning by myself, I would love to, but I'm not that motivated with the yoga as much as I love it. I do it well when someone pushes me to do it. But on the days where I don't have a teacher pushing me and then getting me through that day of being so mindful and in a flow, that I come up with something that morning that's similar, or pull out one item that can hopefully set the stage for that day and getting through that day. And then I'll be mindful that day of the things I need to tackle and any obstacles I need to overcome. And I won't think about the stress of what might happen if I don't do it right, or the outcome's not what I want. And so it all, again, flows into the same thing. It's probably similar to that chart you were talking about.
I think you see it. Well, when I edit it. Thank you, Michal. I love this because you are so real about the whole thing that you're going through every day.
If you're not, then there's nothing else to do. You might as well be real.
Well,
their option. It's like, you might as well be real. You might as well be transparent. You might as well be authentic. Otherwise, you're not going to accomplish anything. because everything you're going to do isn't really real. So.
Yeah. And I think you also, it may not be the image in everybody's mind, but that's, a businesswoman, as successful as you are, would always be like, I'm so organized and, having 3 kids and,
Let me tell you, I am a little bit like that. Do you mean you don't know me? I'm not saying it's such a great trait, but I am. I'm very organized. I have 3 kids. I have a business and I'm like, oh my God, I have so much to do. But I'm trying to work on it's not to not have so much on your plate. You're going to have it anyway. So being mindful of how to approach it so that you approach it in the most productive way possible. And you don't procrastinate on any certain item that's really important to get you to the next step because of your inner overwhelming stress, or fear of it. So I'm working on it every day.
Yeah. It's kind of a luxury, that kind of fear that, that reflected emotions that, well, what if I can't do it and all that? That's kind of luxury at this point.
Right, exactly. You know what? I'm at a point where I can't just let it take me over.
Yeah.
I can't let it debilitate me. I don't have a choice anymore. But in all reality, we all have choices. I mean, I could just walk away and say, I don't have it. It's too much. I'm too nervous. I'm too scared. I can't do the next step. I could. I don't want to, and I never will, but I could. But it was the same as starting your business. I mean, I say I sort of wish I'd started it sooner, but I needed to get to that next step, at the right time, with my business partner and design it a little different together and launch it versus earlier when I wasn't ready. But then again, looking back, it's easy to say, oh, I wish I had started it sooner, but started it when the time was right, overcame those fears. And
since I'm aware of the time, I also want to highlight that you have a gift for our audience. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the link that you're going to post is anyone who's watching can log on and go ahead and sign up. And we're giving out a $10 coupon to be used on our website for any item you order. Nothing on our website is more than $60 price tag. Our carriers, our baby Catan carriers, are all $50 and $60, depending on the style. Our bags are $60. Our swaddle blankets are $30. So it's a really big discount. And we're really excited because this way someone can try, if they already have a baby Catan baby carrier, they can try a diaper bag or swaddle blanket. And so hopefully this will be a nice little gift for everyone that wants to take advantage of it. And they can try our new products or our tried and true baby Catan baby carrier.
Yeah, I love the original baby Catan. It's such a connection that it allows with your baby. I used it myself, so yeah,
it's awesome.
I like the experience of having my baby so close to me.
I love hearing that. I love just always talking to someone who used a baby Catan but didn't know me personally, which now is a lot of people. In the beginning it wasn't, but I love it. I love hearing that. I still do. When I walk on the street, when I see someone walking on the street wearing it, I still walk up and I say hi each time.